Hi guys, we're looking today at the sequencer. Normally when you record in the real-time mode, all your controllers are recorded into your MIDI sequencer. That means if you move a knob, if you press a pedal, if you change the tempo, if you interface with change a tone on a particular layer, if you have a layer and you change a tone, all that's going to be recorded into your sequencer once you're recording in a real-time mode. And that's why you saw those little pink bars there in the display, and when the pink bar passed, you noticed that the tone on that particular track or channel also changed. So we're going to go to the real-time recording mode now, and we're going to start recording, and we're just going to move a knob just to show you what happens when we play with the knobs on our sound modify. Now you can see that we have some green bars here. When we see the green bars, we know that there's no note messages, but there are other types of messages in those bars. So the pink bar means that we have note messages along with other MIDI messages. The grey bar means that it's just note messages, and the green bar means that there are no note messages, but there are other MIDI messages. Now that's a good introduction to our microscope, because if we go to the microscope here, select microscope, we can see that the CC messages associated with the moving of the knob are quite a few. Notice that as we turn the knob, the message has started it down in the 30s and it's moved all the way up from there, and we've moved the knob around, and you wouldn't want to enter these messages manually. It would take a very long time to do this. Okay? The CC means control change, as you can see right there. And obviously the value is a 73. That is the CC change number, MIDI number, and the amount varies between 0 and 127. Okay? So there are lots of them. So that is what is generated when you actually turn a knob or move an analog controller on your Roland FA-06. So the microscope mode allows us to change individual events, or we can add or move individual events. We can erase them as well. So here is a little envelope there showing we can create, erase, move, copy individual events. That's the purpose of the microscope. And when would you want to use the microscope? Well, you would want to use the microscope when you were entering stuff in the step sequencer. You enter musical score into the step sequencer, and therefore it's not being recorded in real time, so you want to then go and put the trumpets or the organ or strings or guitars to play what you have entered. So you will need to do a program change. That when we go to create an event within our microscope, we can put in a note, program change, control change, pitch bend, polyphonic or channel aftertouch, or a system exclusive message. Now the system exclusive message is not going to be suitable for people who are not technical, because that consists of a lot of numbers and that control the actual hardware, MIDI hardware itself. The system exclusive message is a language all by itself which you have to learn. But we want you to understand that the system exclusive is only available on channel 1 or track 1. Basically the number 1 track in the sequencer. If we, for example, exit here and we move down, let's go back to the beginning, and we move down to one of these other tracks, and we go in, let's just move it across maybe to something with notes in it, and we go into the microscope. Now we are on track 3. We're on track 3, but if we go now to add an event, notice the system exclusive is grayed out. So you can only add system exclusive messages on track 1 anyway. But typically the one you're going to use the most is program change, because the program change is what will select a different tone to play the particular notes in that bar. So that would be the one that you might want to change even if you have done a real-time recording and you change your mind and say, I really should have recorded with a different tone. So most of your editing in the microscope is going to be done with either a program change or a note change. Those are the most two that you will use the most often when you come in the microscope control of events. Okay, so let us take a look now at how we would change a note. If you want to add a note, you will do it here by going create note and clicking execute. And then we will have inserted a note there, which we can now change the data on simply by moving the cursor across. That will select our note number or pitch. And then we want to select the duration, and see where it says note number there in white, it lets us know what we're on. This is the velocity or level of the velocity. We can set it manually, and this would be the duration there, duration, beat and tick, and the off velocity. Okay, so all these particular parameters are associated. Notice it tells you what you're on there, and of course you can change the number to anything you want on that. We've added a note, or if there's a note there that's been there already and you want to change its pitch, easy to do. Correct it, simply exit, and you're done. Now the other thing that we would be interested in is the program change, what we said to you. So if we said that there was no program change and you wanted to change on that particular spot in the thing, notice over here we have in the blue color or gray color, we have the location, we have the beat, a measure, beat and tick. So suppose at the start of bar 4 we decided to change the voicing of our instrument. We would do create, we would go to program change, execute. That would insert a program change. Notice it's inserted a program change. So what is associated with a program change? Well, the program change number is all that we need, right? Okay, that's all that we need. So whatever number I choose there, from 1 to 200, so 1 to 128, will select one of the programs within the current bank. Within the current bank. If we need to go outside of that bank, then we will have to do a bank change as well. But it doesn't appear that we can do a bank change in the microscope. So basically you'll want to make sure that you have all of the tones that you're going to be using in a particular selection will have to be located in a range where you can just do a program change to call them up. That is easy to do, and it will be the subject of another video for sure. So we can, well, let's just insert a random number here, say 20, and just see what happens. So do we have to do anything to save it? No, there is no save in Microscope. All you do is exit Microscope, and notice all of a sudden it's gone pink where I inserted my program change. Let us solo that track, guys. Let us solo that track. Let's solo that track and hear our program change. Notice, guys, notice that when we, over here we have changed to small space. That is where we are. Now if we had, it's not going to go back because we haven't reverted. What we would need to do now is to move the highlight back to there, put it to something else, say tea time. Let's put it to tea time and play again. Now we've changed to small space. So that's what, that is exactly what program change does for you. And you can insert a program change to your desired tone anywhere on any track in your sequencer after the fact. But of course you're going to have to learn about these program numbers, because when you're not just going to want to put in a random number like how I did, 20 or 25, unless you're just rolling the dice. You're going to want to put in the number that carries it to the exact tone that you want to play that specific selection. So now I hope I've given you a good introduction to the microscope, and you will appreciate all the wonderful things that you can do within the microscope by adjusting your MIDI sequence to exactly what you want it to be. The only other thing is, I think erase, move, copy are all self-explanatory. You have to copy something to be able to paste it. So I could go here, for example, since I'm showing you how to do it, and I'm not going to lose my sequence anyway, let's just copy a note. Copy that note, for example. Copy event. So if I go down here now to there, I have no idea what it's going to do at that beginning of bar 11, but I can paste it there. Paste event, see, it tells you, asks you can paste it anywhere. Measure, beat and tick, execute, it's pasted it in there. And as I said, whenever you're done with the microscope, just exit. But of course you're going to have to save your song if you like the changes that have been made. You can also do multiple pastes of the same event, because you can now dial in a different measure here and execute, and it will paste it in there. I have no idea how that would sound, but the thing is, you know what you're doing. So you use the copy and paste with specific MIDI events. The move just moves it up or down. In fact, move will allow you to set where you want it to go as well. Move it in time, measure, beat and tick, so that moves that particular note back or forward. And of course, erase will just erase the event for you. Create will put in a new event. It's so easy to use. View is a filter. Now you can filter if you only want to see note events. Now notice the system exclusive is grayed out here at the bottom because you can not use system exclusive when you're in a track other than one. Right now I think the highlight is on the track. See, once I go to track 1, system exclusive is enabled. And this would be, view would be the way that I would change the track that I'm working on. Notice as I change the information in the microscope is changing as well. One other thing I would say before I close the video is that if you go past track 16, you get to the tempo track and you get to the time signature track. So in addition to the 16 MIDI tracks that you have in your sequencer, you have a tempo and time signature track where you can insert time signature changes. So if we look in the time signature track and the tempo track, they're always going to have at least one entry at the very beginning of the piece. But we can insert, let's go to the time signature track. So if we close that, we see that we're in 4/4 time here. Now if we wanted to insert a time signature somewhere else, what would we have to do? Well, we would want to create a time signature, wouldn't we? So it automatically tells us the time signature is there. We create it at wherever we want to locate it. We go execute, and we have another time signature, and to make it whatever we want, we just go 4, that would be the top number, and 4 is the bottom. So suppose we wanted 6/8, we would just go move it 6/8, right, there we are, 6/8. Now once again, we don't need to press enter, all we do is exit. Now we should notice a change in the time signature of our piece when we go to 18, measure 18. Notice, look at it there. See how in measure 18 they're narrower? 18 after 18 is narrower than 20. Now I've mocked up my piece by learning and testing these things, but it's no problem because all I would need to get back my original piece of music that I had started with would be just to go to the song and just reload the song so that that little yellow mark would disappear. That yellow mark lets me know it's been altered and I haven't saved it. So I could just go load. It would ask me, are I sure? And then it would go back to my original song. Now the other thing that I would like to say to you at this point in time is that when you look over here on the left, you see all your tracks are set up for MIDI except track 16, which is dedicated to the pads. You don't have to have a pad in every studio set. If you're using a studio set where you're not using samples at all, audio samples on your sampler, you can remove that pad track and get all MIDI tracks right away from 1 to 16. Moreover, if you want to use a pad track, you can make the pad track any one of the track numbers that you prefer. Now let us look here where the channel numbers, track numbers and channel numbers are agreed. Notice that on 10, 11 and 12 they're a different color to that bluish color which is just a normal voice. Once you see a different color other than a bluish color there, that means that you are dealing with drumming. And you can have drumming on any number of tracks. You can have multiple drum tracks if you want, but in this particular scenario, the track 10 is the main drumming track which has on the power session kit. But notice what we have here. We have brush jazz kit and we have electro house kit. So we have 3 drum tracks on 3 MIDI channels in there which we can use in our selection. So your big question is, why is 10 yellow and 11 and 12 magenta? The reason for that is because the power session kit is an SN or supernatural kit, whereas the 11 and 12 kits are not supernatural at all. They are the PCM. Now if we were to just press enter here, we would immediately go to the where the kits are located. See, drum kits. We are now in the drum category, and we see that all these are PCMD. PCM drums are always in magenta, and when we come up to the top, we have been given several yellow ones, which are in fact the supernatural drum kits. But those are supernatural memories in the user space. We would have to go to the top to find the preset ones that came. There is our power session kit, which is number 1. So we were given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 presets, and we can create any amount of user kits from those. I've already created one, Steven's kit, at number 1 in the user memory. So I hope you all guys are enjoying your Roland FA-06, 07 or 08. And we do hope that you will tune in again to see some more exciting topics. I have over 50 videos now on the Roland FA-06, and it would be true to say that I understand it very, very well. I have answered hundreds of questions from interested users who have watched my videos, and there is very little about the Roland FA-06, 07 or 08 that I cannot help you with. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.